will be underway shortly.
It's going to be good times. I'm excited. How's about you there, Anaconda?
I'm extremely excited. I'm also mostly excited to see if any dreams are lived today. Alright, and here they go. What are they getting? A bomb upgrade. New items that have been added for the randomizer is the upgrades that you could normally get from Venus, the fairy. Is seeing what kind of luck you're going to get for the day.
It's really for the best.
Have been distributed as
are just replacing. Well, here's 5 rupees. Here's 10 rupees. 20 rupees. You don't want to see that. Let's at least get something useful. So they've been distributed around the map as 5 and 10 upgrades there. Didn't forget to mention about what is randomized is their the prize packs or the items that an enemy will drop after it's killed has been altered. So getting the bow here also in the beginning, that is a pretty nice item to get at the very beginning. Bow is always a required item. No matter what dungeons you need to complete to get your crystals, you will always need the bow in order to progress in Ganon's Tower because of the mimic enemies on the 3rd floor. So that's one less required item no matter what that both players have to worry about there. And we see a few moments ago there, OkayGuy killed a few extra enemies, and that was to fish for some bomb drops there. And bombs are pretty powerful early on here because they allow you to check a few extra treasure chests on the escape sequence once you rescue the princess and you're on your way to the sanctuary. No. But both players have at least bombs, so they're both going to be able to check those chests there.
Yeah, they got a single bomb drop from their bomb upgrade, and so they already had the bombs. That's exactly what I thought. OkayGuy just got the arrow drops from that one guard, and that's what I was assuming he was waiting for, because killing the ball and chain guard is going to be a lot faster with arrows. He only needs one bomb, and he had that, so... That's what I was suspecting.
Well, depending on what you find in the chests, it might be beneficial to have extra bombs for whenever you go to the village, just so you don't have to potentially revisit any locations later on, or buy some bombs in the village at worst case scenario if you have enough money to do so. But yeah, finding the arrows is definitely huge there. We see that it took a little bit of extra time for the OkayGuy to kill some of those earlier enemies, but his quick kill on the guard in the prison cell has got both of these players pretty much back to even right now.
Yeah, and back to what you were talking about with the bomb drops, you could just get super lucky, and there is an 8 bomb drop that could be dropped from any random enemy, so it could just be, these players could just get very lucky, and be set for bombs for the rest of the run. Once you get past that first couple of game where there's bombs, you're typically pretty good for bombs in the rest of the run, because you're going to find capacity upgrades, you're just going to find random bombs in chests, and it's just not going to matter too much later on.
Mm-hmm. You only need so many to check the initial slew of chests where you need to bomb a wall. After that point, bombs certainly have their uses, but they're not necessarily vital to proceed. And this is a pretty tight race so far. We're just about screen for screen right here. Maybe a slight speed advantage to WillardJBradley, but the OkayGuy does have a couple extra bombs in reserve right now.
And it looks like a little mix-up there with the shelf actually put OkayGuy ahead. Looks like WillardJ tried to squeeze in there a little bit too early before he's able to get into the door.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's the only lead switch that we're going to see in this race here. It'll be much more difficult to tell where everyone is in relation to each other once they get past the escape sequence and they take off in all crazy different directions there, looking for all sorts of necessary items to finish the game. But as it is right now, very slight edge to the OK guy. He's okay, guys.
And to be fair, the escape sequence is pretty straightforward. You know, really the only difference you're going to see is it's very minor, you know, due to RNG placement of, you know, the rats and whatever, and the guide to farm for items. These chests can be really good or really not so great. Looks like it's pretty bland. Bland start here.
And then we're already seeing some slight differences in routing there. The OK guy with his extra bomb electing to blow up the northern side of the room there and get up the stairs just a little bit faster. Willard with only one bomb in reserve has to walk back out the same door. Just a little bit slower that way, but that's how she goes sometimes, don't you know? Willard, however, does
nice
get
chest
that
turn there from OKGuy.
Whole magic pickup there. That could come into play if we find some nice magic items in the near future here.
Alright, it's looking like OKGuy showed us the map here, so we've got the blue pendant at the Tower of Hera, but we also have crystals, I think that was 1 and 7 at Desert and Eastern, respectively. So, yes, that was correct. Willard just checked that as well. So we're seeing OKGuy head on up into the Lost Woods. This is a very common route. He's going to go through, check another thing I forgot to mention, that the tree drops are also randomized. But what OKGuy and looks like Willard are also going to do here, they're going to check this lumberjack, whether or not they're going to need to go and kill Aghanim or not. The only way to get this, to get that tree to that item, which they don't need as it is a full heart container, would be to kill Aghanim and change the state of the overworld, the light world overworld.
They don't need to kill Agrabah for the item, but depending on how the seed shakes out, they may still have to defeat him to gain access to the dark world.
That is true.
But so far, based on what we've seen from the item, it's not looking too likely that we'll actually have to see either of these players go up the tall tower in the Castle of Hyrule. And we've got a bottle in the mushroom spot here, which is never a bad find. That allows you to get Bottle Kid's item in the village. And bottles themselves are particularly useful. You can store potions, fairies, even bees can be quite nice in the randomizer if you don't have a lot of good offensive options.
Oh, the bees, dude. Alright, so looking like not too much hype. As you did say, though, that bottle there is very nice, so that these players don't need to revisit Kakariko. Already gotten it. As I can say from personal experience, the not having a bottle in your first run-through of Kakariko, to go back there, and there might just happen to be an item that you need, and you're racking your brain for the places that you haven't checked.
Exactly. It's definitely something that can come back to haunt you because it's such an obvious item location, but you play enough of these seeds and you assume that you've already checked it always, so we're not going to have to worry about either player missing an item in this situation. On top of that, they've both got a very healthy amount of rupees, so they're both going to be able to buy the 100 rupee item from the merchant in the town square, just slightly west of the weather vane where you would normally play the flute to activate it. So we should see both players pick up every single item in the village right now, and they won't have to come back here to look for items, but they'll probably be back here later on to either get to the dark world or just passing through.
And as far as rupees go, it's really great that they got that 300 pretty nicely for this next part of the game.
Mm-hmm. And we got the first level lift upgrade. Not the Titan's mitt. What's the other mitt called? Forgive me.
Power glove.
I don't remember. The power glove. Yes. So that opens up a lot of different ways that both players can go. So right now we're seeing pretty similar routes from both of them, but we might see them separate very shortly because there are a lot of different options available to them. And the OK guy has been particular about picking up a few extra $5 rupees, the blue rupees. They're worth 5. He's been particular about picking up a few extra of those there, so he might already be thinking about an early visit to the Zora King there.
All right, getting the flippers from...
Flippers are always a nice pickup to find. Seed seems to be pointing them in the direction of going to King Zora. They can buy an item for $500, and there's another item on the shelf. And at least one of those items, your mileage may vary naturally, but in most circumstances, it seems like at least one of those 2 items is generally required in this randomizer.
So both players pop it into the library here just to check what that item is up at the top. It's an arrow capacity upgrade, so now they know once they find boots, not an area that they need to come back to visit. And on the topic of rupees as well, typically you throughout the randomizer, you're going to want in the ballpark of about 710. 500 for Zora, 100 for the bottle salesman, and then potentially 110 for Palace of Darkness, which could not be required, that you're going to want. So now we're starting to see a little bit of a difference in routing here. We're seeing WillardJ go down to Hylia, where OKGuy is actually heading on into Lake Hylia to check the island heart piece, which was just a 20 rupees, so he knows once I get Mirror and access to Dark World, I don't need to go back for that. And he's also going to go and check the Hobo bottle, what might give anything right now, so we'll be seeing that, where WillardJ is checking... Oh, OKGuy found a single arrow.
Just a single arrow from the Hobo, so nothing too great over there. But nothing too great for WillardJBradley down at the dam there either. You have to think next he's going to head towards the Thief's Cave over to the east, and that looks like what he's going to do there.
Typically pretty hype. You've got 5 shots for something good. Now, what kind of route do you think, after they finish checking through, you know, the mini Moldorm Cave and then probably Ice Rod, what's the route in you think that they're going to be taking?
I think it depends on how much they respect each other's ability to play through the game quickly. If they don't find anything too great here, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take off in opposite directions. Wouldn't surprise me to see one of them take a chance and go for the one lone item in the desert cave that you can bomb into. Usually not the greatest decision because there's only one item there, whereas most players, I think, would just take a restart from the house and go over to Sahasrara, or however you pronounce his name. You go over to his house, you bomb the door, there's 3 chests there. But a player who's perhaps willing to take that slight risk because they know they're on very equal playing levels and go to that one chest in the desert, they could be rewarded very well if that's what they're going to try.
Indeed, and it looks like with that tossing that fish into the deep water from OKGuy, it's looking like he's thinking about going to Zora. There is a warp that takes him right to Zora from Lake Hylia, so I'm assuming after he checks these Moldorm items, Ice Rod. Oh, maybe not, because Willard did not go over to the Ice Rod Cave, so he might not think that that's worth it right about now.
The Ice Rod Cave is fairly out of the way, but we did know whenever the OkayGuy went into this cave that there were 20 rupees there, so he's only one shy from getting the prize from King Zora, so it would not surprise me at all to see him just dive right into the whirlpool, and go check out to see what King Zora has for sale, and also check out the item that is on the shelf in that area, because both players do have the flippers at this stage. But it looks like the OkayGuy is going to go check Ice Cave first here. Which
I agree with that decision.
Be a bottleneck early on in these seeds.
Ooh, looking like Sahasrarla's...
Willard inside Sahasrarla's house, and he finds the Bombos medallion, which could be a very significant pickup, depending on which Dark World dungeons end up being required.
Alright, so OkayGuy getting those rupees there from the cave. Now can only assume we'll go to check Zora's items, and then I would guess probably going to Eastern as well. I like the decision to head to Eastern because one, it's got a medallion, or not a medallion, a crystal that they need.
Crystal,
and
yes. And they both started with the bow, so they can complete this on the first go, which is pretty rare for one of these. Most of the times, you don't feel good about going into Eastern this early on.
Exactly. Normally, you might just go to
an early bow, so you can at least finish the whole thing out. And there are 3 different actual items to be obtained here. Whether or not they'll be of any use, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so we've got a Titan's Mitt.
We see Titan's Mitt on the ledge in Zora's domain. So right now it looks like OkayGuy might have made the correct choice to head up here rather than go to Eastern first. We'll see if we'll have an item in Eastern that's going to equalize the advantage. We still haven't seen that.
There it is. Not quite as far as unlocking access to things, but we've got a golden sword, level 4 sword there in Eastern. So that's definitely going to speed up Willard
will have absolutely no difficulty killing things, that's for sure. That golden sword, the butter sword, as it is affectionately known among the community, that thing is crazy strong. Like, let me tell you, there's swords, and then there's the butter sword.
Weighing in at 1 tempered sword spin attack worth of damage per slash is a pretty devastating.
Pretty devastating is perhaps a bit of an understatement. Interesting routing choice here from the OkayGuy. Rather than taking a save and quit in Zora's domain, which is pretty standard, he elected to walk out. But now he is save and quitting after all. So that could be a loss of about 20 seconds or so.
Weapon. But to his credit, you can't really blame him for doing something like. I feel like it's that's a pretty common occurrence.
Very common thing that happens in one of these randomizer races. You just get caught in the moment, and you're just trying to think about, okay, where can I go? What can I do next? And you find yourself just struggling, figuring out what you can do or where you should go. And we might be seeing that from the OkayGuy right now, who's just done a save and quit twice in a row now without really accomplishing much of anything. Perhaps just trying to keep things moving while considering his options, which, as far as I'm concerned, I think is better than just pausing the game and thinking about it. You're at least keeping yourself moving. You're keeping yourself involved and invested in the game, so you can at least think about where you're going to go next, rather than just pause the game and go, I have no idea what I'm doing here. And the seconds just add up as you're thinking about it.
All right, there's something to be said though about taking a break and not actually playing and sitting and focusing on what it is that you need to be doing. You know, there are definitely things that you can miss just when you're going through and playing when your full focus is not on going next. And an interesting decision to go up to Death Mountain when he can't really do a whole lot. There's only really 2 items he can check. One that he can acquire with the items that he has, where Willard is about to already claim his first crystal.
The good news about going to Death Mountain, though, is that you can restart there at any time. I don't feel like going to Death Mountain is ever a bad decision, because it at least opens up an option for you. And we did just see the red mail on top there, so that will be an easy grab once you get the... And there's the Moon Pearl. So the OK guy, I'm pretty sure, is going to grab that right away. And with his early Titan's Mitt from Zora's Domain, this is going to completely separate the route that both players are on right now. It's impossible to say who's got the lead right now, because both of them have a lot of good options available to them. That Moon Pearl is a gigantic find.
Especially combined with those Titan Mitts, though. That made that trip to Death Mountain
gives you
completely and utterly entirely worth it for OKGuy. And this way, if it ends up that Palace Darkness is required, that can make your trip to Eastern as well much more efficient, whereas you're already traveling in that direction. You can clear out Pod, Mirror, and then just head right on into Eastern immediately, instead of making 2 separate trips there, where that Willard is going to have to do.
We still don't know which crystals are required in the Dark World, but I have a hunch that we're going to find that out within the next 10 seconds or so here.
Here we go. Okay, so it's looking like Swamp and Skull are not required here.
Swamp and Skull are the supposed optional dungeons, as they only have pendants in them. Perhaps I would say not the dungeons you necessarily want to see as being optional, as depending on the way the items go, Swamp can be very quick if you're on a boss rush, same with Skull Woods.
On the other hand, Swamp has the most potential items in it of all the dungeons, so it could mean that it's one of the last places that you check, since it's not required of you to go there to get a crystal.
Quite right, you are.
Or it could be a huge payoff and checking for that, so we'll just have to wait.
Swamp is one of the biggest wild cards I find, because you need both the hammer and the hook to get through Swamp. In the case of the hammer, you need it to access more than one chest. In the case of the hook, you need it to access about half the chests. But most of the keys in Swamp are hidden under pots, so a lot of those chests are going to have actual items inside them that could potentially be items that you need to complete the rest of the game. Swamp can be very trolly in a lot of these seeds, in my experience. The lone chest that you can actually access without access to the hammer can often have the hammer in it, which drives people crazy, but I've seen that several times. So Swamp being required is not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose, but it could be a little crazy the way that the items tend to add up.
So interesting here from OKGuy, deciding to do some Dark World Overworld collection, finding Quake, which potentially, but the likelihood of it is high. Also, narrowly avoiding death there. Those
birds,
pink birds, do
4 hearts, I think. You have the green tunic.
4 damage with the green tunic, devastating there.
Yeah.
So,
but that Quake medallion could be a nice find. We know that there's 2 dungeons that they're going to have to complete that requires a medallion to enter. So just finding even one medallion gives them a very good chance of being able to access at least one of them. And in a lot of cases, surprisingly enough, you can require the same medallion to access both dungeons.
OKGuy, showing off a little bit of the flavor that the developers of this randomizer have added to the game.
Which is really nice, I have to say. It does add a lot of nice personal touches to the game. It would be nice if you looked at a sign, though, and it was like, oh, you know, by the way, Cain of Samaria might be in this dungeon or this dungeon, that kind of thing. If you throw a few more hints in here.
For the sake of fairness for the randomizer, things like that have been opted out for the tournament, at least. Checking out the digging game now. He's gonna need to find, in my opinion, he's gonna need to find something a little bit more of value than just Quake pretty soon here in order for him to be lead here over Willard.
I think so,
Willard is about to pick up that Moon Pearl, and as soon as he does, I'm assuming he's gonna make a beeline straight towards Dark World and might end up, depending on what he decides to do, might either do some more dungeons or do some more overworld cleanup. And looking like OkayGuy finding silver arrows.
Definitely a big pickup right now. We haven't got any dungeons complete there, and not only do the silver arrows make Ganon a much easier fight at the end of the game, they absolutely destroy nearly every single other boss on the way there.
You can essentially
the silver arrows were in a
shot.
pretty easy spot to find, so it
and combined
would be not much of a stretch to assume that Willard is going to find those before too long, but for the time being, the silver arrows are a nice advantage for the OkayGuy if he's willing to dungeon delve, get her done.
So, I am inclined to disagree. Do more damage than the gold sword. However, not by much. Gold sword is still going to be a really high source of DPS output for Willard, so much that I feel like it's not really offset by silver arrows at this point.
I can kind of see where you're coming from. I suppose it depends on the boss that they're actually fighting, but most of the bosses where you'd prefer silver arrows over gold sword and vice versa aren't really in the running right now because we need to find actual items to get to those particular bosses right now. Like, say, for example, you'd rather have gold sword for Trinax, but you'd definitely rather have silver arrows for Vitreous.
But we will just have to see. Well, I would also disagree with that as well. As far as Vitreous goes, you're going to have to shoot, what, like 9 silver arrows, which all in turn generate quite a bit of lag to kill off all of the eyeballs, in addition to another 2 to kill the big eye, whereas with the golden sword, it's just going to take 2 slashes. Or 4. Would it be 4 slashes? But you can hit multiple eyes at once with 0 lag. So just in that particular instance, the golden sword would probably be a better bet there.
That's
just my opinion.
That's perfectly fine, man. We have differing opinions, which makes this is going to make some interesting commentary, because we're going to be at each other's throats in like an hour. He'll be like, nah, man, I like what this guy's doing. And you'll be like, nah, he should be using this weapon here. And I'll be like, I'll kill you, etc.
Alright, so this is going to be interesting here. So OkayGuy is entering Eastern, so as soon as he clears that, these guys will be on a little bit equal footing, but I say by the time that OkayGuy has finished Eastern, Willard is going to have caught up to the amount of Dark World overworld cleanup that OkayGuy has done, and more than likely surpass him. But if he doesn't really find, they're more than likely be on very equal footing. But what's surprising to me, though, is both of them decided to do some overworld cleanup instead of enter dungeons and start taking out some bosses and getting those crystals. That's my play style of choice, is that if I'm able to do a dungeon, a crystal,
I will say that neither player attempting Thieves Town is perhaps a strange choice. It's defendable because you do need the hammer to access one chest in there. And blind can be a very, very nasty boss, but they both have capes, so I don't think that's the issue there. But I mean, and I don't see a lot of reason not to go through Thieves Town, even if you don't do the whole dungeon. At least get the first 4 chests because they're so simple to pick up.
And from what I don't know much about Willard and his experience with the game, but from what I can see, it seems like he has playing this game, and I know OkayGuy definitely does. So I know for a fact that blind would not be a huge deal for them, as I assume Willard. I know OkayGuy, but I would assume that Willard would also know how to fight blind, without taking scripted. Should you do it exactly the same way every time? Which is, it's really why I'm very surprised that, oh no!
Oh,
Willard actually getting sniped by the bird bomb!
Wow.
That cave there, although, unfortunately for him, he does not know that there's not really anything in that cave other than red boomerang waiting for him.
So that's something he's going to try to get back to, most likely, and honestly, why wouldn't he? There's 5 items in there. We know that none of those items are necessary, but Willard does not.
And dying on the overworld,
that's
especially
a very difficult death for him right there, because he's going to try to get back there.
Dying in overworld, dark world overworld without mirror is probably ways to die. Because if you're dying in the dark world without mirror overworld, it'll put you back in the light world, as you saw. As whenever you save and quit as well, it does this.
He will start you in the dark world. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have to have both the mirror in your inventory and to have defeated Agrabah at the top of the tower in the castle.
Not the latter. All you need is the mirror. If you save and quit or die or anything in the dark world with the mirror in your inventory, then it'll put you back in the dark world. So now it looks like Willard is just gonna abandon his dark world, his overworld collection, and move on into Thieves Town, where he's not gonna find anything in that first chest. Where OkayGuy is now gonna move on and finish out Eastern very, very quickly with his silver arrows here. Take out.
Oh yeah, those silver arrows will just saw through those armored knights like butter. But we know from watching both of these players that what Willard is doing right now is probably the correct play, because we know there weren't any vital items in the cave he was at. And we haven't seen what's in Thieves Town, so we could see something very essential in here.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say these players are...
Hookshot are the big items that we need to see right now to get further progress.
It looks like OkayGuy is not really sure what to do right now, which is kind of confusing to me, as he has like all of the dark world open to him still. He's still got, you know, a couple items in Eastern dark world overworld that he can check. He's got, you know, multiple dungeons that he can enter. But I'm sure he's aware of all of this, but just the sheer fact that there's so much to check can be overwhelming, and you just don't quite know where to start.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just got to take a second to decide. But if he just does decide to go right into Thieves Town here, which I would think would be the way to go, these players are gonna be pretty much even right now, with the exception of OkayGuy having and Willard does not. They've pretty much checked all of the same locations up to this point.
Yeah, it's been a pretty even race so far. OkayGuy is kind of thinking about it, but it looks like he is going to head back into town here. Not sure if he's going to go to the dungeon proper, but we shall see. No, he's heading back north here.
I guess he's going to go... Catfish, I guess? I don't know why. Either that or he's going to go into Pod. Which also would be an interesting decision right now.
Catfish is a risky choice, but I kind of like it because it's not something you would see your opponent doing here. If you get, say, for example, a hammer or a hook shot from the catfish in this situation, you know you're in a good spot.
You are miles ahead.
Why on earth would your opponent go this far out of their way based on what you know about the seed to check this one item location? It's a play that I like.
It's an extremely...
I don't necessarily think it's going to work, but I like it.
It's a very, very dreamy play. And so we'll see in just a couple of seconds if this is going to pay off for him. Meanwhile, Willard making his way through down to the basement of Thieves Town here. Gonna grab blind and unfortunately not be able to check that final item. The lamp coming out from Catfish.
Wow.
Now that's interesting because the lamp's not required. Well, it actually might be, since they don't have any other source of fire. However, the lamp does make dungeons that have dark rooms in them, which are
don't
required in this seed, a lot easier to navigate.
I don't think most players in this tournament are going to be able to navigate some of the trickier dark rooms without the lamp.
I can speak from experience, they're very hard.
Crazy. So that lamp is not an insignificant pickup at all. That's a huge find.
It is very good. And if by chance Willard does end up going into one of those 3 dungeons, Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, which all have
Willard is dancing right now. Oh wow, very nice blind fight. He got him.
All right, looks like we've got the book.
We've got the book at the pyramid
guy, which is going to allow him to get into Desert, which is another required item and has a required dungeon because it has a crystal, as well as getting powder for Willard there. Not anything that he's really needs, but he's got another crystal there.
Powder could lead to a required item, you never know. But as we know, both players are going to have to complete Thieves Town, so they will both have that powder eventually. Not that the powder does anything right now, because you need the hammer for the one item that you require the powder to access.
Yeah, that's true. The powder does open up one item. The batch that normally gives you half magic items, so that could potentially be
And now we've got Willard taking maybe a little bit of a chance here. He's heading up to Skull Woods without the fire rod in tow. Not that he needs to complete Skull Woods, but it's an interesting decision here.
Good find there for OkayGuy. Not any. It's very nice to have half magic. Especially once you get.
I would say very nice is an understatement.
Yeah, especially once you get
it won't make or break the race by any means, but it does make everything a lot easier.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're in a seed where you're low on hearts and you've got cape, or you know, that makes the cape usage a lot better. Once you get fire rod, that makes, you know, quite a few areas completely trivial. Being able to shoot, you know, 16 fire rod shots is just absolutely bonkers. And like,
fire rod is an absurdly powerful item. Yes. Well, even just being able to use the cape a lot more is pretty powerful. On top of it, protecting you from damage when you're, say, fighting a boss. Whenever the boss is exploding, as long as you keep the cape active, you're getting a little bit of time in your favor because there's less lag, since the game doesn't actually have to draw the Link sprite at that point because he's invisible.
Right, and we did see OkayGuy grab the mushroom, which unlocks
something.
And we did see him go check the heart piece location in a 20 rupee Oh, Willard walking right on by silver arrows there. OkayGuy leaving? Oh, he's going to... Okay, he went in to grab the key to go back to check the rest of the chests in Desert. Because he doesn't have boots,
he doesn't have the
which
boots.
I assume... Did he... Which I'm assuming a key is on the lamp, or the lantern in that room, so he can't... So he's going to be unable to complete this dungeon now until he has boots. And Willard making his way back around to that cave with only the red...
It's an interesting decision from the OkayGuy. The boots are definitely one of the premium items to find, but the randomizer can't produce a situation like this where the boots would be in either of these particular chests there. So he must be hoping to find something else that will help his progress.
Yeah,
he's picked up the big key, which does give him access to another potential item in here, but without the boots, the way that the keys are lined up, it's not looking terribly likely to finish things out.
I was gonna say something. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, looking like. Oh yeah, Willard skipped the from the Dark World Flute kid. I mean, obviously he doesn't know what silver arrows are there, but he just completely walked right on by that. Oh no, he's already got them.
No. Willard picked up the silver arrows.
Yeah, he got them. Yes, he got them a while ago. I did forget. So, but he is about to go grab the Book of Medora now. And I would assume he's just going to go to Desert as well. OkayGuy did not find... or actually, what did he get? I didn't actually see.
We didn't find anything of importance in the Desert, really. There was the half magic out in that direction, which is nice, but not strictly required. So the Desert, I wouldn't call it a red herring, but it's not the place to head to right now.
Right. Going up, he's gonna go check Catfish as well right now. He's gonna
pick up the useless item from the Catfish here.
Shovel is at...
That shovel could be big. We haven't seen that yet.
And it looks like OkayGuy bought a blue potion just now, I believe. I looked away real quick to mark the shovel on there.
Yep, he bought himself a blue potion. Never a bad decision. It restores both health and magic. In a couple of places, you need to have plenty of magic. Turtle Rock, for example, comes to mind. Sometimes you just don't want to die and have to do everything in the dungeon over again, so you got to heal yourself. And the randomizer is typically pretty friendly with the rupees, so not too uncommon to see a player buy a blue potion or 5 over the course of a run.
From Shovel, the boots!
The boots!
Well, there they are!
Oh my! That is the biggest find I can think of right now.
And just thinking about this seed now, though, it's just a huge... It's just a huge kick in the nuts, because it's you know, very likely that you're going to end up going to Desert before this, and then you've got to leave, and then you have to go in there. Well, that's what I was going to say. You have to go in there to get the mushroom, and then you have to leave, and then... Oh, OkayGuy being fancy with the shovel dash there.
Yeah, very tricky. But looks like Willard's heading in that direction, so assuming he follows the sequence of items, he'll have his boots before too long. But
unfortunate, a little bit of back and forth.
You have to like the OkayGuy's advantage with the boots. Even if he's a crystal behind right now, the faster movement from the boots really cannot be understated whenever you find those before the other player in the race.
Yeah, it's a sad day when you find a randomizer seed that makes you do a little bit of back and forth. Ooh, interesting bonk strat there for OkayGuy.
That's a really slick move right there, I think. I was very impressed by that. And then a very unusual torch bonk to pick up the key.
That's a pretty standard.
Oh, that is pretty standard.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just all old and I don't understand what's going on here. Don't mind me.
Well, in perspective, the reason I actually just had it explained to me recently. I didn't know why it worked. But the bonk, when you bonk on something, there's actually a radius that is around Link. There's something bonkable in that area, it will activate, like a tree or a pile of rocks or that lamp post.
Very interesting.
Passed it, bonked into the wall, and the key still fell. So Willard did end up, he grabbed the mushroom and pieced on out. OkayGuy just being very liberal with his lamp use there, since he does have half magic, has quite a bit of that. But we're going to be seeing Willard following in his footsteps.
He's
grabbing the shovel, going
for the witch's hut. He doesn't necessarily know what's going on here, but he's following the fetch quest. He's gonna pick up them boots pretty soon.
Nice one cycle from OkayGuy there with his silver arrows on Landmo.
Nice shooting, absolutely.
Grabbing crystal number 1. And there is shovel. For Willard. Actually, if
Willard with a very savvy shortcut there. I think most players just save and quit and start from their house there, but using the whirlpool and probably saving himself a good 5 to 10 seconds over the alternative.
Yeah, good quick thinking. Good. That's just really good game knowledge on Willard's part. You know, that's not a warp that you really ever see being taken in, speedruns or otherwise. And
it's a very heads-up play. I respect that a lot. And now Willard's got the boots too, and we're pretty much back to dead even here. This is a really tight race.
Now, if everybody in chat will allow me to, this is what I'm going to do with the crystals, since I can't remember which crystals are at which. Since OkayGuy has cleared both dungeons with crystals in the light world. The dungeons that are not required are 2 and 3. I'm going to mark that he has crystals 2 and 3 on the tracker and just use that as which dungeons has he cleared, as opposed to which crystals he actually has. And as soon as Willard clears Desert, I will do the same thing for him. It'll just be an easier way to keep track of dungeons he has completed in the Dark World, as opposed to which specific crystals they have, which doesn't actually have any relevance except for getting 2 chests from Fat Fairy.
That could come into play later. I don't know which crystals were in the Dark World. I know both of the ones in the Light World were 1 and 7. 1 and 7.
Which neither of which matter for Fat Fairy. So
exactly, it's not too important. Another interesting bonk, this time from the opposite wall. So that was, that was a thing. I enjoyed it. It was amusing.
It's exactly the same thing that OkayGuy did. He just did it from a different position.
Exactly like you said. There's a certain radius where it's going to dislodge the key or whatever item it ends up being, no matter what. That's really neat.
So I'm assuming OkayGuy here is going to head right on into Thieves Town. Now, as we know, of any value, except for powder, which could have value, likelihood is pretty low.
We still have not seen that yet, that is correct. But the one thing of value in Thieves Town is that crystal. You are going to need to get that to complete the game. So we've got Willard in Desert, And the OK Guy and Thieves, both of them dungeons have a crystal. I guess we're just going to see which player completes which dungeon first to kind of decide who has the very slight advantage right now.
Well, of course, it's 100% going to be Willard unless something.
Unless
something really terrible for Willard happens right now. He's definitely going to be finishing Desert well before OK Guy finishes Thieves, and definitely take. As far as it's going to be on his way. Where is he going to go after this? Now, the boots allow him to get quite a few other items as well. He's got the graveyard, the
sanctuary, the little pile of rubble to the west of sanctuary.
He already
is an item that a lot of players forget.
It was either him or OK Guy. I actually don't remember. One of them checked that, but there's that. We know. Ooh, nice. Great RNG there from OK Guy, just dashing right on through the hellway. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.
Play a game of Parcheesi?
Play a game of Link to the Past. We're gonna see Willard attempt a one cycle here. Oh, nice.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful arrow shots there. In the world of darts, that is called a 180.
I was a little skeptical there of his second arrow. He was slightly to the left of that landmo, requiring a little bit of luck that landmo was going to go off to the left and run into his arrow. Okay, so now Willard is about to go in and grab half magic here as OK Guy making his way downtown into the Thieves Town basement to grab blind. Again, cannot check that hammer item. Okay, so they don't. Oh, okay, so they don't actually need to check that item. That item is the map. So the big chest in Thieves Town is confirmed the map. As
yes.
OK Guy paused there, he just had the compass, and we know the final item in this dungeon is going to be the powder from blind.
So there's no need to go back there once you get the hammer later on, which is nice because that's just unnecessary backtracking. And, you know, the way things line up is if you end up going back to check that item, it's because it's the absolute last item that you have access to. So I'm glad that we're seeing that both players are knowing that there's just a dungeon item there. They don't need to go back for that. No one wants to see that. That's horrible.
And aside from a little bit of a hiccup in round 3 there of blind, you saw a pretty textbook fight from OK Guy. And simple that fight can be when you know what you're doing. Getting a nice spin speed. Trying to figure out where he wants to go.
Well, naturally he wants to go to where the required items are. The only issue is he doesn't know exactly where that is, and neither do we. We're seeing a few very obvious blocks right now. There's a whole ton of items that either player could get if they could just find the hammer or the hook. But we're seeing Willard. Willard is going into iced right now. I like this choice. I like this choice a lot.
I do not. There are quite a few chests that he is going to be unable to check unless he knows The bomb jump really, not the typical bomb jump that you would think about in the Ice Palace. There is another one that you can get across a gap that normally requires the hook shot to get to, and there are quite a few chests, I believe 3, after that point in Ice, for him that he will not be able to check that bomb jump. But if this pays off, it will be huge, but it's going to. But we'll have to see.
Well,
It's going through
the chances of this working out for Willard are not great, because he is going to need the hammer to finish the dungeon out here. This is one of those situations where I like the risk that's being taken, because it's a race. In a race, I find the player that takes the most risks usually ends up winning, as long as the seed is like, oh man, you took this crazy gamble. There you go. You're fine. So if Willard does find the hammer in the, I think, 2, maybe 3 treasure chests that he can actually access right now, that would be a gigantic advantage. Because not only does it allow him to clear ice right away, it allows him to get to work on the other dungeons that we know are required. More than likely, the gamble is not going to pay off, but in a race, I don't think it's a bad decision at all. I respect it. That was a very nice spin slash to kill all those penguins. You still there, Anaconda?
Yeah, I accidentally closed my the stream I was watching. Did either of them find anything of value?
Nope.
Looks like Willard did not. He's
no
piecing
dice
out of
on both ends, sadly.
And so it's looking like he does not know that bomb jump, so he cannot progress through the rest of Ice and get those other couple of chests that are there. Of course, would not be able to even complete the dungeon without hammer, which is why I was ballsy move. It really was not a good idea to do, in my opinion.
It's not necessarily the smart play, but in a race it can be the right play, because any of these items can be anywhere. Sometimes in these races, it's the player that takes the craziest risks that ends up on top. And other times, the player that just plays the soundest exploration game ends up winning. That's what's really neat about this randomizer, is that honestly anyone can win just based on where the items end up being and the not necessarily sane order in which you attempt to find all the items.
So, looking like OkayGuy wants to go into pod, but he's short 70 rupees. Well, 64. And that's quite a hefty amount.
Very surprising to see OkayGuy short rupees right now, because he had all the money in the world early on in the seed here.
I mean, he blew through it. This is not the most efficient farming that he's doing right now, and there's no I mean, with no way to know what you're going to be getting from these prize packs, and it could just be and see the drops are going to be.
He had the right idea. He knew where a good amount of drops could have been, but it's just like, here's some bombs. It's like, dude, why didn't you give me like all these red rupees? I don't appreciate.
So did we see? While I was looking at his screen, I guess if anyone in chat could let me know, did Willard? I assume he's got the book out. He had to have just checked what was that Master Sword. what did it say? I didn't actually... Which would be, it's pretty crucial information if they need to go collect all the pendant. Heart at the sword? Okay, so nothing that they... What would be interesting, though, if Sahasrarla is hanging on to something interesting and they're going to need to... They actually do have to go to Skull Woods, get the green pendant from Mahula, and then go talk to...
That's definitely still a possibility that's in play. One thing I would appreciate going forward, it's far too late for this right now with the start of the tournament, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for Sahasrarla, or is it Sahasrarla? Saharazad, etc. Anyway, it wouldn't be too bad if that old dude, you know, when you were just bombing the back of his house to check those 3 chests, if you talked to him, he just said, hey, I have this item. So it's like, oh, he's got, you know, the bow. I better go beat whatever dungeon has the green pendant in it or whatever. Instead of just, you talk to him, it's like, dude, there's all this Japanese stuff and I don't understand it.
So
just
OkayGuy
for the
opting,
future.
OkayGuy opting to just go to the desert farm cave there, where there is 60 rupees. For a very good place to farm, especially in the randomizer, as now the, as we've been mentioning, prize packs have been changed. A very consistent way to get rupees. So now he can... Where Willard actually almost losing
Slick
Kiki there.
moves from Willard to not lose Kiki there.
But what's interesting is they are both going
absolutely
now.
right, Anaconda. That's a real good place to just go in, get out, get some money.
Or just happened to be the lucky one there and end up having more rupees to waste a bunch of time and go farm it. But we will see what they're gonna get here. And this dungeon, actually, you wouldn't really think of it, but not having the mirror in this dungeon actually makes it take quite a significant amount of time longer. If you don't have the mirror, because mirroring back to the start of the dungeon saves quite a lot of time overall.
You would typically do it no fewer than 2 times in order to explore the dungeon optimally, but we don't have any mirror there, so we have to take some alternative ways to explore the dungeon. Awesome.
Things happening. OkayGuy, if he loses Kiki here, is going to be in a little bit of trouble. But I'm going to go ahead and assume...
Oh, that was dicey with that bomb, but he pulled it off. So, here's
the
where,
bomb
here's
that,
where
that
we are.
Popo
We are
almost...
an hour into this race. We have basically the exact same item collection from both players. They are in the exact same dungeon. One of them is maybe slightly ahead of the other. And, oh no, Willard just got killed by that dude. So this race is just kind of crazy close right now, don't you know?
I think that was an intentional death. It was a lot faster for him to death warp back to the beginning there. It's second best to mirroring.
Oh yeah, that's right. They don't have the mirror, so there's actual tactical reasons to die on purpose right now.
And especially on that side of the dungeon without hammer, it's much, much faster to just die and go back to the start of the dungeon. So far, it's pretty... This dungeon right now...
Are, famine rather than feast so far, I gots to say.
And so, again, another intentional death there from Willard. Another chest turn from OkayGuy, that's 2.
Definitely agree with as being intentional with no mirror in pocket. It looked awful, but, you know, there's no reason not to die there. It's just faster to get back to the start. That one's obvious.
Ooh, and OkayGuy's thinking the same thing, but he went and got a fairy earlier, and so now he has to ditch it because he's doing the same thing. That's pretty unfortunate for him. Both of them have the lamp, so it's not really a huge deal. Willard actually going over into the... grabbing the big key and immediately going back to go check the big chests.
We'll see how he approaches the dark room here. He's just gonna go all the way around. We get a compass in the first chest. No one wants to see that.
He doesn't really have a choice. He's got to traverse the whole maze.
True enough. And then there's $100. No one wants to see that.
Throw it in his face. You're done with all your rupees now. Let me just give you a couple more. I'm sure OkayGuy will be thrilled to find those.
Oh, and some bombs at the end. The dark room is a disaster of unnecessary stuff, sadly.
To talk a little bit about the dark rooms and not having lamp, from my own personal experience, it's kind of interesting.
Have the lamp in a couple of these rooms,
but in the event that you don't, there's a couple of different strategies that you can employ, especially in the dark room in Pod here. You can my strat is pull up a map, and there it is.
There's a big
mirror.
You got the magical mirror.
4 rupees.
That is not insignificant at all.
Now, OkayGuy's doing the bomb jump. This is a mistake that I have made. Doing this bomb jump without the big key. It's typically not worth to do that if you're going to need to be checking all of the chests. Doing that bomb jump is really not worth it.
It might not be worth it anyway. But it is really cool to watch. Sometimes you have to give a few points for a little bit of swag. Even if she don't win you the race, sometimes looking cool gets you a few extra points.
Alright, so now that Willard has cleared the dungeon as much as he can with the mirror, and he looks like OkayGuy's about to go down there and grab it as well. He's got quite a few things that he can go do. He can the red mail, so should he so choose, he can get a couple of other items like the flute kid chest or heart piece cave thing. There's gonna be the graveyard heart piece up on top. Quite a few things for him to do.
There's definitely a fair amount of options open to both players once they pick up that mirror. We were basically at a deadlock. We're seeing Willard head up to the mountain. He's probably going to go check the tablet. I think the normal mirror on top of Spectral Rock item was just a heart or something. Oh, sorry, it was the red mail, which is...
Yeah, I said it was the red mail there.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's a nice item, but it's not necessary. So we're going to see what's on the tablet here on the top of Death Mountain. It's just some arrows. That's kind of terrible. But, you know, that's not the end of the world because the mirror does allow you to access quite a few other items as you're exploring the Dark World overworld. But it looks like Willard's going to head into the Tower of Hera here. I guess
have to wonder what OkayGuy is doing.
There can be a few items in here. We know one of them is a heart container. He's going to get it anyway because, I mean, it's a heart container. It's helpful. It's not necessary, but it's...
He needs to just leave. There's no reason for him to be going through the dungeon right now. He doesn't have hammer. He can't complete this. Opening up this wall and then leaving is not going to be worth... What's interesting, Willard is going to decide to check out another gamble here, seeing if there's going to be anything worth his while in Hera. Oh yeah, so OkayGuy just now realizing that he
Realizing he doesn't have the hammer and can't finish the dungeon.
Exactly. He decides to do now what items he decides to check.
I mean, let's be honest, can't blame OkayGuy for that. We've all done a couple races of these where you just get a little overeager. You think you can finish everything, and it's like, oh no, I'm still missing this one item or these two items. It happens. It's not the end of the world. As long as you catch yourself before you go, completely deep into the dungeon, as TheOkayGuy just did. He caught himself as he did something that takes like a minute animation-wise to sort itself out. He's like, oh, I don't actually have the hammer, so let's start over. Rather than, okay, I'm going to keep going. All right, room full of the turtle guys. Oh, I don't have the hammer. That's extra time lost, but that didn't happen.
Nice bomb walking there from OkayGuy, as well as grabbing that red tunic there. As you saw with spin speed, if you're carrying a bomb, you can actually walk insanely quickly upstairs. What am I looking for? Red tunic, there we go. Alright. So I'm assuming he's going to head right on into Terra as well, and be right on. Willard is still not finding anything of value.
Wow. Even if all he found was the compass, I am very impressed with Willard's bomb jump and then subsequent recovery to bounce back and keep going in the Tower of Hera here. That was really cool to watch.
It's a very straightforward bomb jump, really. You have quite a lot of leeway. And you don't even need to bonk. If you position yourself 2 pixels away from the gap, the bomb will just blow you across. Or you can be, I think, up to 6 pixels away. And then bonk with it. Nice.
Oh man. I did all this work for this crappy blue tunic. Let's get out of here. No one wants to see that. I'm already dressed in red. Let's just... No. Ah, that made me laugh.
It certainly did. Quite unfortunate for Willard, and going to be for OkayGuy as well. As he still has no idea.
I kind of get the feeling that neither player has a good idea of where do I go? Where's the item that I need to proceed here? We've checked a lot of very vital areas so far. This is a tricky one to be sure. We're even seeing Willard rechecking the library item. He's like, was this really a heart piece? I mean, I've seen it be a heart piece.
It was an arrow upgrade.
Yeah. Willard's thinking like, oh man, library items... It was a heart piece in like the last 8 or 9 races I did. Did I just mistakenly remember what that was? And it's like, oh, okay. No, it was just an arrow upgrade. But, that's the point that we're at right now. We're really running out of spots for both players to check here.
Well, like I said, there's still quite a few mirror locations for them to check, one of which looks like Willard is going to go do right now. He's going to check the... oh, just kidding. He is going to go down and check the one beneath.
Nah, he's going for the old blacksmith there. But yeah, you're right. There's definitely mirror locations. That is at least something that was opened up there.
He's going to get the dwarf, and he's also going to mirror into the half magic bat cave and check out what that's going to be like. Mm-hmm. Since the swords are randomized, the dwarves will give him something random. OkayGuy, unfortunately, about to find...
But that's not very successful at Link to the Past Randomizer.
Payoff there for Willard getting the flute. Gonna go grab the bird right now, but I don't know why he's not going to check the... would have been better for him to go check the magic bat first, but it's pretty important there. OkayGuy now trying to figure out where he wants to go.
That flute is a big find. Opens up so much more and speeds up all the travel.
Now there's a couple of additional items they're going to be able to check. See what pendant Maya requires. Although at this point they have 2 pendants, so statistically the required pendants in this randomizer. So okay, well, okay, I suppose I can see Willard's routing here. I can understand.
He's going for both the magic powder cave and the locked treasure chest at the same time.
It is more efficient because he could dash all the way to the bird, as opposed to walking all the way there with the chest afterwards. So that's good routing on his part. And unfortunately, the bat has nothing, and it's great to see these 2 players making these same routing decisions here. It's always so interesting to see that in randomizers.
We're so close.
It just goes to show the game knowledge of each player. Is similar in that they know what they can be doing, what they So now, OkayGuy picking up the flute, and we'll see if he. Oh, showing off more awesome bomb tech, walking right through the warp with the bomb. Something else that I learned. Getting a fence dash too. OkayGuy with all of the frame perfect and pixel perfect tricks. Chest turns and fence dash and all these awesome things. OkayGuy.
These guys
doing awesome here. So Ether required.
I don't think they deserve to be
dash from Willard. Getting that first frame dash through the spark. And there is Ether right there. So that's pretty convenient. Man, we're just seeing all of the really precise tricks coming out from both of these players. To get to dash right through those sparks there requires the very first frame that you gain control of Link is to activate a dash. So nicely done from Willard there.
And Ether being a good pickup because, as we just saw, we do need that to get into Mire. And Willard is not going into Mire right away, which is probably the smart choice. Doesn't have the cane. We need that cane.
Trying to be fancy with a powder dash. I like the attempt there. That was cool. Although unfortunately stopped a little bit short to actually hit the Willard now heading on down. I can only assume he's going to be grabbing a couple more of these mirror locations. And then additionally checking Bombos. Oh, OkayGuy! The bird yeah, the bird flew right on past him. He moved down just enough, and at the time after the bird had already had its trajectory planned. And there's the hook.
There's the hook!
And
that's a big old hook.
Right now. That's going to unlock quite a few more item locations for him on Death Mountain. A whopping...
That unlocks, if I am not mistaken, 17 item locations on the east side of Death Mountain.
No.
No?
I said, no, not 17. There's 11. There's going to be...
There's 7 in the one cave. There's another one in the one cave that you have to go out of your way to go back down.
4.
That's 8. There's 2 on the way up in the Dark World. That's 10. There's 4 in Hookshot Cave is 14. There's 1 on the island is 15.
Well, no, he can't get the one on the island because he doesn't have hammer, so he can't grab that. It's a rupee though anyway. So
Do you need the hammer to get the one item on the island there?
He can't get into the dark... Well, okay, I guess technically no, because he could get in from the dark world from beneath. I was thinking he'd have to go through the T-Rock warp, but he doesn't. He can just go back down to the bottom, which he'll probably end up doing anyway to get to the dark world chests in the mirror up there. But regardless, he doesn't need to since it's just a red rupee. Which is all well and good since it's a little bit of a time waster to grab.
Well, yeah, you never want to have to go out of your way to get that one item.
ALTTP with the hook shot now as well, heading just right behind Willard, and it's just it's turning out to be
crazy.
Linear seed here. Ooh, interesting actually routing here from OkayGuy, using that mirror block deletion to get into the chests instead of going all the way around, falling down. I like that. I'm gonna have to take that routing there. So Willard now grabbing the cane of Berna, and that's about it there.
The cane of lead. But still
other items he's got going on. Oh, is OkayGuy gonna attempt a hover? Here
Looks
it comes.
like he's going for it. Almost there. Is he gonna? Oh, wow! He made it.
The showing off of it just keeps going. OkayGuy just demonstrating all of this really awesome tech. Very cool.
He's just a little bit more than okay, I would say.
So Willard now cleaned up the light world chests, going to be checking the dark world ones. Now there's 2 here, an additional 4 in the hookshot cave. We'll see what he... Gotta be something. And technically there doesn't have to be something.
And there wasn't anything, at least down here. Hopefully the hookshot cave will treat our players a little better than we've seen so far on Death Mountain here.
Let's tick that chest turn counter up to 3 for OkayGuy. And let's see where these... There we go. Cane of Samaria.
Samaria cane. Big pickup right there. What else do we got up in here?
That's about it, but that's not at all shabby. I would be happy with that if I were them.
Well, Samaria lets you finish up a couple more places here. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You could be greedy and ask for it all there. We're still looking for that very required hammer, but, you know, Samaria's not a bad consolation prize. And like a good soldier, Willard is going right back to Meyer from the looks of her.
It's looking more and more likely that possibly a required item is going to be in Swamp. And again, like we mentioned very early on, in this race, is that Swamp is not necessarily one of the places where you want to see is not required, because it has, out of all of the dungeons, the most amount of potential items that you're going to need in it. It's got a total...
Okay. I don't care if that cost him like 3 seconds. That was awesome. Willard just picked up that frozen enemy and carried it into the dungeon. That was the swaggiest strat that I've ever seen. That guy deserves like 1,000,000 medals for that. That was awesome.
If the medal is king of memes, then sure, give it to him. But, so OkayGuy did check, I missed if Willard checked it as well, but he looked at the medallion required for T-Rock and saw that it is Quake. Now that he has Samaria, I'm sure he's gonna... Oh. Looks like... and then he's gonna end up finding...
the requirement for Turtle Rock because he had all the medallions. He didn't need to check that. He knows he's got it, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, so here comes OkayGuy to Meyer. He's going to see that Ether Medallion and hopefully not get too discouraged, as he is going to find it just a few seconds later. This one...
He might even find it before he looks at it, and this is going to be the case. Yep.
The one saving grace that this randomizer has given these players so far. It has been pretty rude. Completely honest. So far.
Yep.
And is probably fairly happy about that.
So, as has been the case with this race, both players about to be in the exact same dungeon with the exact same inventory. This is a really tight one right now. Are there any chests that either player has gotten that the other one hasn't? Like, I honestly don't think so. We've almost been watching identical playthroughs here, except some things have just happened in a very slightly different order. This is crazy tight.
I don't believe that there are any that one player has gotten that the other has not. We'll have to see what Meyer holds. Now, if Meyer doesn't have the hammer, it's either going to be at the Graveyard Heart Piece or in Swamp. Most likely. A lot of other places that our players have not checked. So it's just the playing the waiting game, seeing at this point really which player's technical ability will give them the edge at this point. They're pretty much in the same place at the same time with the same items here. The only advantage that Willard really has over OkayGuy right now is an additional 2 heart containers. But I do have to say though, is quite proficient at this game, especially with running difficult categories like Swordless. So I know with not too many hearts, and then again with red mail, it makes it pretty clear.
That's a mistake for OkayGuy there. But oh no, not quite making it back inside the door before it closed. Forgot to hit the crystal switch, lower the blocks, and now, yep, bit of time lost there.
And he needs to be careful now. He's just gonna decide to come back for that chest. Smart play on his part, in my opinion. Now getting through the rest of that tile room without taking any damage is pretty risky. I mean, he could have grabbed the fill pot in the room below it, gone back in with cape, and just sat and waited out the tiles. Ended up being faster than going back and checking that compass chest. But you know, you can't always being an outsider is always a easier to identify alternatives than it is when you're in the middle of the race. Drop hearts. All of the item so we're seeing Willard try and go for some sword spins there. The sword spin with the gold sword does exactly the same amount of damage as a sword slash, so he would have been better off just slashing those eyes.
Didn't quite pan out for him. He also had the silver arrows out there. It kind of looked like he wasn't too sure how he wanted to fight the boss. Ended up being very quick regardless. But He really should have committed to one strategy or the other there.
6.
But he is going to be the first to defeat Vitrius here and pick up his 4th crystal.
And OkayGuy now has the big key. Going to be heading right on to fight Vitrius as well. He'll be right behind Willard in just a matter of minutes.
It's still anybody's game. There's still a lot of locations to check for that all-important hammer and hookshot.
I guess not checking the large chest in Meyer.
This is the point that we're at.
He needed to.
Willard's screen, and he's really thinking about, where have I not been? That's the kind of seed we're looking at. Very tricky.
Could have fallen off there, the edge, and all the way around, unless the blocks were just gone all the way around, but instead decided to go back out through the large room in Meyer to head back to the big chest. You know, again, when as long as it has, and you're only 3 crystals in, it can be pretty rough. Okay, so Willard's gone back into ice now because he has hookshot, so he can continue into the rest of the dungeon and check those items, which he would have been able to do already had he known the bomb jump to get across that gap. Which, if in this case, if one of those chests was hammer, incredible lead for Willard.
That's what he's looking for sure. He does need hammer to finish the dungeon out.
Well, I mean, earlier on when he was in here before, could have been if he had known that bomb jump and attempted it, it would have been a huge lead.
Oh yeah.
And then,
yeah, we were talking about that. I remember that. But hammer is the last big obstacle to be able to access all the different potential treasures. We're still going to need some magical rods because you got to do Turtle Rock. But that hammer, that's an item that impedes progress rather than just go, oh, you can't beat this one dungeon.
having a little bit of trouble with the bomb jump here, Willard, but looks like he lined it up there just in time.
Got her on the second try. I think that's plenty respectable. The bomb jump is very, very tricky to pull off.
I mean, if you've taken the time to learn it, it's fairly straightforward. There's not a whole lot going on with it. There's very distinct visual cues that you can use to determine whether or not you're on the right placement. It's just about getting that correct placement that's a little tricky, but if you know how Link moves and you know the amount of pixels that he moves with each movement and in whatever direction, it's fairly simple.
But you still have to do that in a race, which is a very high-pressure situation.
This is the room where hookshot is quote-unquote required to get across, but you can actually, in a pixel-perfect position, and bomb jump across there.
Interesting.
You're going to see now a couple of chests. Bottle. That's it. The other two he can't get without the hammer. There are two more chests in there that he can't actually get. So that's a huge amount of time. Twice now, Willard has traversed pretty much through the entirety of Ice Palace to no avail. Where OkayGuy is now going to have that. Now, well, I'm interested to see where OkayGuy is going to be headed now that he has finished up Meyer. Possibly going to I would actually like to see that from OkayGuy, is checking out Swamp, because there's a lot of at this point it's not a bad decision, because all of the other items are like one-offs, and will take quite a bit of time to get, whereas Swamp is going to be 6 different that could be, you know, Hammer, and they're going to be really good. Now, Willard is finally checking, I've been waiting for this, checking the Graveyard Heart Piece, so we're going to see what's in this location. Okay, guys, let me check out Bombos. I don't actually know if Willard checked Bombos earlier. I missed Bombos and... Okay, so the Graveyard Heart Piece is a heart piece. So let's see, Bombos is going to be... I believe actually Willard did check this. I just... Oh, it's the hammer! Well, there it is.
Oh, right. My!
Okay, so OkayGuy has just taken a massive lead here over Willard. Every second that Willard does not have this hammer, OkayGuy is just getting farther and farther ahead, because the only thing that OkayGuy is not going to be able to do is going to be T-Rock. Required dungeons are concerned right now. He's going to be able to finish out Pod. He's going to be able to complete Ice. And after that, maybe one of the bosses are going to drop Fire Rod, which would allow OkayGuy to complete most, have Ice Rod further deeper inside, or perhaps one of the last 2 chests in Ice would be the Fire Rod. I can only imagine that the Fire Rod is going to be the next item that they find, and it's looking like OkayGuy is opting to go into Ice Palace as his next dungeon. Now, looking like Willard is heading down. He might actually be right behind.
Toward the item on the
nice
thingy
map there from
know what to call it.
And unfortunately, OkayGuy, he's got the half magic, so it's not
a beeline towards it right now.
He doesn't need to worry too much about his magic usage.
We're running out of options there.
His magic usage isn't too much of a problem, since he does have half magic. But that was a little unfortunate time loss there. At one point, I timed...
Oh no, Willard was going straight forth there, so he's going to pick up that hammer too.
Bombos was the longest animation, as far as the medallions go, so it was about 8 seconds of time lost there. Since he did actually find this so soon after OkayGuy died, if he goes to Ice, that he doesn't have to check. Oh, he's actually doing Swamp right now.
He's gonna go finish up Swamp right now. He's already been into Ice. He knows that there's statistically nothing good for him there.
He still has to do it though. He still needs to do it. And you know, regardless of when he does it, he's going to be making up a little bit of time over OkayGuy there.
OkayGuy theoretically is going to check some of those extra locations in Ice, whereas Willard is just probably going to go, oh, I've been here twice, I'm just going to finish this thing up there. So with that quick pickup of the hammer there, whether or not either player knows it, we're pretty much back to dead even.
OkayGuy going to show off another hover.
Oh, just misses it. He's going to try for it again there. No, he's going to switch to the bomb jump. And he gets the bomb jump.
The bomb jump is incredibly free. The hover, and he pretty much had that hover in the bag. I'm gonna assume that he got a little bit freaked out from the that fire bar coming at him there to kill the penguins. Out of Swamp there as well. Did he?
Interesting decision there.
I guess he just didn't want to continue through the rest. I missed. Did he? He didn't find anything in there, did he? I mean, it's already in there. He might as well have just gone through and finished. But OkayGuy with the hovers. Can he? He does.
He pulls it off.
He's gonna head right on into the next part of this dungeon. He's gonna be able to check the rest of those items. Oh, Willard actually going for the hammer pegs outside of a Smith's. And
we're seeing a lot of the aristocrats come into play here, trying to do something the opponent doesn't, and he gets rewarded with the fire rod.
There it is. Fire rod. Now that is a very unfortunate location, as it is one of those one-off places. You're just gonna have to gamble and take the time to grab it. We're gonna see actually if OkayGuy gets rewarded here, and doesn't. He's gonna have another dungeon up on Willard, and then he's gonna head straight on into to fight Cold Stare, where Willard is actually opting to go finish out Pod. All right, so looking like OkayGuy's. He's got one chest left. He's got the big chest left in ice, which he is actually going back to check. I think he's gotten got the compass. I missed if he got the map. Either way, though, there would be no way to know. But he just paused and I missed it right there. So anyway, he's gonna go check that and go fight Cold Stare, where Willard has just got a straight shot to. The OkayGuy showing off again with just an unnecessary hover there.
Unnecessary, but awesome.
And this routing in Ice Palace from OkayGuy is really, really interesting. It really goes to show this is a dungeon where typically your knowledge of this dungeon is very, very limited when it would come to a randomizer, as there are a lot of different avenues that you can take. Oh, he didn't even grab that key, the big key. I didn't even notice that. That's why he didn't just go to the big chest and, you know, go complete the right back through this door. Whereas Willard, he's just about to get to Helmasaur.
He's just working up the slight gauntlet in front of the boss there.
In this,
gotta deal with all those turtle dudes.
Good choice. Good hook shotting through those blocks there. I thought he had made a mistake. Actually, no, you could hook shot those walls there. So OkayGuy gonna go in and fight Cold Stare. We're going to see two boss fights here pretty much simultaneously.
See both of these players pick up their 5th crystal simultaneously from the looks of things. And Willard is opting for the prepared sword hammer strategy, which is pretty cool. It's always neat to see that. I personally think just throwing a bunch of bombs is faster, but I might be wrong.
Oh no! OkayGuy got knocked out of his routine there by a falling. And consequently, all of the Cold Stare puffs got away from him, so this fight's just going to take a little bit longer there to complete.
Oh man, and they were giving him the business. He almost got killed there, surviving with just 1 1/2 hearts there. Risky business. That is probably the absolute worst boss to get killed by in the entire game in terms of backtracking.
Yeah, Cold Stare and actually both of those bosses, Cold Stare and Helmasaur, are both extremely costly to die. Both of them are multiple minutes to trek all the way back through the dungeon. Now, although both players have 5 crystals, Willard has a large advantage over OkayGuy right now, having the Fire Rod. The longer that it takes, or just as in the same position that Willard was in when OkayGuy had the hammer, the longer that OkayGuy goes without that Fire Rod, finishes pod, the farther and farther behind he's going to be. Because Willard now is just going to head right on down to ice. Actually, he's going to get the big bomb. He's going to go check... Actually, a really good choice from him. He does now have crystals 5 and 6, which unlocks the Fat Fairy chest. So we're going to actually see what are in those. Now, that is the Ice Rod.
Would not surprise me if we saw Ice Rod there. If we see Ice Rod there, that's going to put OkayGuy in a really bad position here. So, in the interest of keeping the race pretty sweet, let's just see some rupees in the couple of chests here.
All right, piece of heart and some rupees.
So unfortunately for Willard, the big bomb did not pan out. It did not secure him the Ice Rod. The Ice Rod is the last item that we know that we require, that we are still wondering where it is. We've seen pretty much every location in the game right now, so this is certainly something here, folks.
Now, I'm going to wager that Ice Rod is in E-Rock. That's my bet.
It's certainly possible.
We could even go so far as to say that it's going to be in the Mimic Cave, aside of T-Rock.
I know the one you're talking about. I have found a required item there before. It's pretty much the worst place to find any item that you absolutely need to progress the game.
That would be
Willard
awesome. Oh, you know what? Willard, it could be a cave, burn a cave too.
Willard's gonna go check out the awful cave of spikes and pain. Good movement to get through, and it's just a heart container, sadly.
Oh, what a happy day it is when you can just one-shot Helmasaur with a silver arrow. Just be done with it. So now, OkayGuy, now they are tied up.
If you're not fighting him with silver arrows in your inventory, I hate to break it to you, but you're just not playing the game the right way.
Is actually one crystal up on Willard. And Willard, he still has a couple of chests to check in Ice Palace, so he's got actually a little bit of catching up to do on OkayGuy. OkayGuy now only has... However, he still needs that fire rod.
We're pretty much dead even right now with that awkward fire rod location and the fact that Willard could very easily go out of his way to check those extra treasure chests.
No. To Swamp. Now, if Ice Rod's not in Swamp, this is going to be a huge, huge problem for OkayGuy. I know I've been going back and forth on saying whether or not Swamp is going to be worth it or not, and I think at this point, from what the information that we know about where Fire Rod is, I'm gonna wager that Swamp is actually at this point now is not worth it to check. In all likelihood, Ice Rod is probably inside T-Rock. OkayGuy is going to be spending a lot of time in Swamp. I mean, it's entirely possible that I'm wrong. Could be anywhere, but
it has to be somewhere. That's kind of the point that we're at right now. We're running out of places that the Ice Rod can actually be. I mean, OkayGuy still needs the Fire Rod. We know where that is, but we're still looking for that Ice Rod, and we are completely running out of locations to find the foolish item.
Now here's the dream. Here's the dream. The dream is this, that OkayGuy...
Ooh. Willard getting...
OkayGuy is YOLOing in Swamp. He kills Argus, gets the green pendant, checks at Sahasrahla. and gets the ice rod. As Hasrullah is hanging onto it this whole time.
Oh my.
We will see. We will have to see. Now, wouldn't that be just the absolute worst?
That would make for the most.
Oh, you're right, Mike, the viewer. Green Pendant, I forgot. Yes, Green Pendant is actually at Skullwoods. So just kidding. This is just gonna be really bad. But that would be the dream. The dream would be go back to Skullwoods and get Ice Rod there. But unfortunately, OkayGuy can't even do that because he doesn't have Fire Rod yet. So is in a bad spot here.
In that scenario, he's at a disadvantage for sure because you need the Fire Rod to get the Ice Rod.
OkayGuy, I am disappointed, failing that pixel perfect hook shot. These precise tricks and failing that one, I'm so upset. You're gonna hear about that one from me later, buddy.
Yeah. Willard is going for the extra chests on top of ice. We know those are inconsequential, so he certainly doesn't know this himself, but it's not helping his cause time-wise here, unfortunately. Over to OkayGuy in Swamp. He's working his way through the west wing here. Couple of chests up for grabs there. Hopefully he finds something good because this race is crazy. Very sneaky hook shot right there. I like that. Nice little time-saving maneuver.
And it seems quite a large amount more time than it might seem. For those of you unaware about Link's movement in certain walking through shallow water, Link's movement is actually slowed, even while dashing too. His movement is slowed quite significantly. 1 pixel per frame instead of oscillating between 1 and 2. So that hook shotting across the water there and just making more of a straight path is actually saves quite a bit of time.
Mm-hmm. I'm very much liking the use of the hook shot by the OkayGuy in Swamp.
A lot of notes here. There's a lot of stuff that OkayGuy's been showing off here that I could learn from, for sure.
If you want to know how to cut a few frames at this guy, just look at what that OkayGuy is doing and do it yourself, because he is showing us how to save some frames. Maybe he's not showing us how to route the game the most efficiently, but I mean, to be fair, neither player can do that because the seed is a little unforgiving in terms of item location we have seen there. But the tricks, that OkayGuy, he knows what's going on. He's pretty okay.
So yeah, for those of you wondering why OkayGuy just got another gold sword, is that the way that the game, to my understanding, the way that the developers of this had to fix the game from downgrading your sword when you would have picked up an additional sword is that once all of the ones beneath it are then changed to that same sword level of the one that you currently have, so that it doesn't downgrade your sword. That's why you got another gold sword upgrade there. It would have been either Master Sword or Tempered. All right, so Willard is now taking down Cold Stare. He's got that 6th crystal. I can only assume he's just gonna head right to T-Rock and just hopefully, live the dream of having Ice Rod in T-Rock, where OkayGuy is about to check the very last chest in Swamp with a heart piece in it. His last looks like he's finishing it out. He's going all the way, killing Argus, hoping for that Ice Rod dream.
Well, as far as he's concerned, he's hoping for an Either Rod dream because he hasn't found either of those. But as far as we know, if Argus does drop that Ice Rod, that is going to be huge for him, as long as he can figure out to go out of the way and get that Fire Rod very quickly. We'll see what happens here. Making short work of those little, very tasty looking pizza pocket guys with his hook shot and butter sword.
From Argus, keeping with the theme of water, I prefer to think them as little lobster puffs, flavoring them with his butter sword.
Mmm, that sounds very tasty too. You know, we should invite that Argus kid over here for a buffet. I think he'd put on some good food for the lots of us there.
So unfortunately, OkayGuy did not find Ice Rod and Swamp, and so that is a huge hit to his time, especially if and that just it's pretty much confirms the fact that Ice Rod is going to be in T-Rock, which just puts Willard pretty much it's Willard's race to lose at this point.
There's a couple places Ice Rod could be that are outside of T-Rock, but it's not looking terribly likely if you play the odds here. And Willard, you know, give him credit. He hasn't completely isolated a lot of these locations, but he's going balls deep into Turtle Rock here. He's thinking, you know, I've got a good 5 items in here where that Ice Rod could be. I might as well give her a shot. We'll see if it pans out for him.
Now, I got really excited for a second and thought OkayGuy was going to go into Skillwoods to get Green Pendant, but he's not. He's going to check where the Fire Rod is, and here it comes. So he's going to grab that, and I'm sure he is going to be extremely relieved. And he's just going to beeline it right to T-Rock, and he's actually not going to be that. If he is assuming he goes straight to T-Rock, he'll only be about maybe 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 behind Willard by the time he gets there.
And that's a small enough difference to make up. A lot can still happen here. Both Turtle Rock and especially Ganon's Tower can troll a player immensely here. Assuming they both head that way and they're on the same path, this is still anyone's game. Definitely Willard has a slight advantage right now, but it's not the end-all, be-all until someone actually gets all those crystals and makes their way through Ganon's Tower.
So I missed what was actually in that left chest there. It wasn't the Ice Rod though, from Willard. So it probably was a key.
I also had a slight rebroadcast issue on my end there. My gut says it was a red rupee, but I didn't actually see what it was. So
It was a
you
key.
know, don't pay any attention to what I'm thinking there.
It was a key. Chomp's giving Willard a little bit of trouble.
Yeah,
It's not too much of an issue. Nice bonk there, Strat, with the
I don't think that was the fastest way through the room, but it sure was fun to watch.
the blocks. So OkayGuy, I gotta wonder. Right now, is he? Yeah, it looks like he's fluting to 1. He's going right to T-Rock right now, which is, I think, is the right one. No, he's not. Alright. What is his plan?
Oh, that's a rough one. Willard accidentally opened the door when picking up the key. You never like to do that.
I'd really like to know. That was, I mean, yet, I don't think.
Then again, maybe he meant to do that because he's looking for the Ice Rod there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I still never feel like it's worth it to open that door. It usually just has a key in the chest there.
Because you're gonna need to go check the big chest for a key, because it's in this dungeon the big chest can have a small key in it, and so this is happening now. OkayGuy is gonna check the last 2 items in Skull Woods. He's got to check, and then he's got the Mothula item.
This is it.
Pick up the pendant, and then from the pendant,
and Willard is doing his due diligence. He's gonna go look inside the Mimic Cave here. So this this is
it. It's coming down to the wire right now.
Where the item is that we need to finish everything out here. Both players, between the 2 of them, whether or not they know it, they are checking everything out here.
He's not doing it. He's not doing it. Oh, he's checking. He's gonna use the book and read what's at.
He's gonna check the pedestal.
So he
Don't
knows
tell me.
A little piece.
No. Okay, it was just a little.
We knew.
There.
We knew that already. We already knew that because Willard checked it before. So it looks like he is gonna. Okay, so he's just doing that before he went to go. He's not. He doesn't think it's worth it to go kill Mothula, but there's still. I didn't actually look unless he knows that the item is either the map or the compass.
He also doesn't know what we know in terms of where, nothing of importance is. So it's harsh to judge him based on that. I can only assume, because we haven't been paying super attention to some of the optional dungeons there. If he's not going out of his way to defeat Mothula, he must know that it's either the map or the compass or a key or something like that he doesn't need. That's what I'm hoping there.
If he had paused one more time, we could see if he was missing a map or a compass, and we'd know what Mothula had. If not, there still could have been an item at Mothula, and so this is okay. So this is where we're gonna see it right now for Willard.
This is the do or die. 2 chests left. Is the ice rod gonna be here?
Oh my God, the last one. Here it comes, folks. There it is. The very last chest. Very last
insanity.
One is officially Willard's race to lose here. OkayGuy now even checking Fat Fairy still. Catch up, barring anything really, really awesome. Or awful. Not awesome, I promise. I don't barring anything really, really awful
Willard
happening.
Can't even believe he's found that ice rod. He's having trouble just putting his platform down there. You gotta focus, buddy. You might have everything you need to finish, but you still gotta finish the race.
Seeing some really cool hook tech with the big bomb. You're normally unable to dash with the big bomb. That will lay the bomb and it will explode. However, if you are dashing if you hook shot while the bomb is moving very quickly to catch up to you, and dash in that time before the bomb catches up to you, then you can actually dash with the big bomb. So that is going to be the final crystal for Willard, and he just needs to go and clean up Ganon's tower. It should be finishing up this race in about 10 minutes.
Willard, he who had one of the most impressive Trinex fights I've seen in quite a while there. He was able to compose himself after a couple of little mental mistakes after finding that ice rod. Just a little too excited there, but give him credit, he put it together and then he put on a clinic, taking Trinex down.
Now, you have to wonder...
We've got the OkayGuy. Looks like he's pretty much figured out that he's got to go to Turtle Rock. That's pretty much the only place that ice rod could be. But he's a full pendant dungeon, a full crystal dungeon behind WillardJBradley, and it is probably the most significant dungeon in terms of length right now.
Especially since OkayGuy needs to check here. Especially since OkayGuy still needs to check all of the chests, literally every single one, in T-Rock in order to find the ice rod.
And it ended up being in the absolute last chest in the dungeon. Very true.
What I said, every chest he's got to check, because he's not going to know. So he has to check every single one, because skipping one would not be a smart decision on his end. The last little bit left here is, where is the big key in Ganon's Tower? But as I was saying a second ago, you have to wonder what players are thinking, where they think their opponent is. At this point, 2 hours into a run, Ganon's Tower, having been looking for the fire and ice rod and hammer really for so long, I would be pretty paranoid that my opponents would have found it long ago, and I just got extremely unlucky, and would be it would really set my nerves off. Now that's interesting choice here. That mirror there after the firebar chests, I have never seen that from a player before, deciding to. Oh, I guess he forgot to check.
And there's the big.
Wow. Wow, what a generous thing for this seed to give after all of the troll and all of the pain and suffering, blood, sweat, and tears it has put these players through. Putting the big key right there in the beginning with it. Typically, those are the first 2 chests that players will in Ganon's Tower, and if you have one small key, you are guaranteed to get all the way through the second part of Ganon's Tower, and it gave him a small key and a big key right there in those 2 chests. So had he checked those first, it would have been one of the fastest Ganon's Towers that you could possibly get in a randomizer. Well, not one of, it would be the fastest.
Indeed.
So that is absolutely wonderful. So the seed did have a little bit of mercy at the end, realizing the... And unfortunately, OkayGuy, while we were talking about all of this... that big key, OkayGuy struggled quite a bit with that large room. I don't know what was really going on.
That room gets the worst out of everybody, I find. You feel like you got a good beat on it, but then from time to time, you just miss a torch, you shoot yourself into the abyss prematurely, you gotta do her all over again, you take the platform the wrong way. It's one of those sneaky rooms that really gets to you if you're not super on top of things, or not even that, if you're just feeling like you gotta rush yourself to catch up. Like you said just a couple minutes ago, we're at the point where both players know that they're over 2 hours on the timer. That's not a comfortable place to be in this randomizer whenever the average finish time is right around an hour 50 or so. So, both players, even though we know one has a very distinct advantage right now, you gotta think they're both feeling extremely desperate right now to finish things out.
From here on out for Willard, it's a pretty straightforward path from him to the end. From here to the end, he's just got regular old, I guess, kind of close to 100% strats, even if he's at all familiar with that category. But at this point,
he's just running the gauntlet in Ganon's Tower.
They're pretty much the same. That's all he's got to do, and then just finish this out. Ganon fight. Gonna be pretty easy, pretty quick.
We've got silver
especially
arrows,
with silver arrow.
Not a whole lot to worry about as far as Ganon goes there, but this last little section here, I think pretty much everyone in the tournament has it practiced down to a science there, but it's not easy. If you get into the mode where you're panicking, mistakes can be made here. But so far, Willard has been putting on a clinic of how to get through Ganon's Tower. We are seeing no mistakes being made, all rooms being completed in a very timely fashion here.
Very nice hover there from OkayGuy, just deciding not to pause and throw down a platform there to get across to the big chest.
That's a weird decision, I think, there.
He's at this point, he's just showing off.
If you fail that hover, you're losing time. But, you know, it's like we said, we're past that 2-hour point. You're getting desperate. You're going to take every advantage that you can get. And seeing the OK guys pulled off most of these hovers, which is pretty crazy because those are just continuous frame perfect tricks. That is not an easy thing to pull off at all.
So to address some of the questions in chat, I want to address some of the questions in chat here. People are asking about whether or not these players know where their opponents are. Is this tournament is going to be based on the honor system, that the other players aren't watching the other player's screen, as that would, you know, could potentially and would give off vital information on where things are, and that would be cheating. So these players, you know, will not be looking at where their opponent is. They will, however, know when their opponent finishes, as they are in a race channel. When that will, when one player finishes, that will know when that happens.
Honor system is a good explanation, but let's face it, it's pretty easy to be caught looking at someone else's chat room or watching someone else's stream while you're in the middle of a race there. So I like to think that everyone's on the level for something like this, rather than, oh, we're just taking everyone at their word that they're not, you know, peeking at everyone else, seeing what they're doing kind of thing.
I mean, are you gonna go through and monitor, like, whether or not people are looking at other people's streams? I mean, I'm not. It's definitely honor system.
Doesn't it show up in history for the broadcast if you're looking at like the replay with the chat room there? It's like, oh, this person was watching while this was going on. Doesn't that show up, or am I mistaken?
Just anyone who talks in chat, not the viewer list.
Oh, I see. Well, I didn't think it was perhaps that sneaky easy to get away with, so I think that kind of shows the integrity that I at least have there. But I don't like to think that anyone's kind of peeking there. And I mean, we all watched this race. We've seen a lot of very similar decisions, and then we saw a lot of different decisions, and that has what has led to the difference in times right now there. So I can't see a situation in which either player in this particular race were cheating there, so I wouldn't even worry about something like that. I think we're all in this to have fun rather than to try to cheat our way to victory, so let's not even concern ourselves with that.
Yeah, and that would be the definition of honor system. But there we go. Willard does end up finishing Dunning in the race channel with a first place time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 37 seconds. So congratulations to Willard. Very well done, managing to get through one heck of a seed. And very well done. And so OkayGuy actually is probably thinking, wow, what a great placement for these items. The first ones that he did check. He's gonna finish on up.
Yeah, finding both
here for
the key and the big key, getting everything he needs on the bottom floor in the first two chests. He can just go and finish it out. Unfortunately for the OkayGuy, Willard's already done, man. Just the main difference in this race, because it was really close the whole way through. We saw a lot of similar decisions. Willard just went for that crazy, you have to knock all the pegs down, and got the fire rod first, and that ended up making a huge difference in the race. OkayGuy decided to go look through Swamp. Willard was having none of that. He was just like, no, I'm gonna go check Turtle Rock. The ice rod's in there, it's all good. Sometimes, you know, you have to be taking the slight risks. It wasn't too big a risk at that point because we'd eliminated so many other potential places. But in these races, sometimes you got to take a, you know, slight gamble on where any particular item you need for it to be, especially like the last required item. It's like, okay, I got like hammer, hook shot, one of the rods, all the medallions. I just need this other rod, or I just need the bow, etc. You kind of, at least in a big race, maybe head to head not so much, but you have to decide, okay, I'm willing to gamble on this one item being in this one spot, and I'm going to commit to it. And if it ends up being in that spot, you're usually going to end up winning the race. So the neat thing about this randomizer is that there's equal parts skill and luck involved. So you get to see someone put on a nice, good show, skill-wise, but then the big equalizer is the luck in terms of where the item is and who decides to look where first. And where we are right now, OkayGuy is closing in on the final gauntlet of the game here. Electing to check the extra chest there because, well, this is the sad part about being in a speedruns live race. You can see when the other player is done. Can be a little demoralizing for you at times. You think you're doing great, then you see the other player type .done. And you're just, oh, no. No, no, no. But on the plus side here, we might see some really neat stuff here from the OkayGuy. Looks like he tried to hover there a moment ago. I'm wondering if he's going to try it again. He was thinking about it, but no, he's just going to wait until that worm is done. And
what a great last item. The small shield.
The tiniest shield, because you completely need that this late in the game. Now he's going to go fight Agronime. I don't personally like this boss. He can really mess you up with all the different patterns, but we just saw a triple there from the OkayGuy, and then he's finishing it off with a very solid double there. I personally could never 3-cycle that boss. I am very appreciative of the nice skills that we just saw there.
With good patterns, a 2-cycle is possible. But
oh yeah, you could get 2 triples in a row. It wouldn't. I know it's possible, but you know, I consider myself personally lucky to get like a 5-cycle there. I don't understand that boss at all. Oh man, now I'm hungry. Ganon told me to eat breakfast, and I want to go eat breakfast. Come on, OkayGuy. You're not supposed to die here. There you go. I think he's got the fight under control now. It was looking a little dicey for a moment there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Does he have a fairy? He does. Nothing to worry about there. That Ganon kid, he'll be dead in like 20 seconds. Oh, almost a triple. So close, but this shot will finish him off. And that's it. The OK guy has slain Ganon. We're just waiting on the last fanfare. He should finish with a time right around 2:18:57 or so.
And there it is, the dot done in the race channel with a 2-hour, 18-minute, 56-second time. Well done from both of these players. Very, very awesome race.
It was really tight on both ends almost the entire way through. Just one inspired decision from Willard to go check out that big hammer peg item earlier than the OK guy did put him ahead, and it was kind of impossible to catch up from there based on where the ice rod ended up being. Other than that, it was kind of back and forth the entire way through up until then. We saw different leads in terms of amount of crystals placed, overall items, even just at the start with who was like, okay, I'm in this room slightly before you in terms of getting the old princess out of the castle there. Really tight race, real fun to watch, a lot of fun to commentate on, especially with my good buddy Anaconda there.
Yeah, it's been real. Thanks, everybody. My name is WildAnaconda69, and I'll see you guys around. Have a great rest of your night. Actually, I don't know if there's another one happening right now. If not, there's tons and tons more. Like we were saying at the beginning of the tournament, there's like 100+ people all playing 4 matches each. There's going to be tons and tons for all of your needs, for all of your speed gaming needs. And additionally, if you're watching on the Twitch website, if you scroll down beneath the Twitch player, you will see all of the different tournaments and events going on right here on Speed Gaming. Additionally, there are a lot of commands in the chat that you can use to information on these schedules, signups, all of that. Unfortunately, I don't know what
Yo, Anaconda.
Yeah.
I think we're forgetting one of the most important parts here. We should probably get both of these fine human beings up in the old Discord chat for a little post-race interview here. You don't sound super enthusiastic about it.
Just tired.
Fair enough, buddy. Fair enough. She is getting kind of late.
Okay, so I think Willard wants to jump in for an interview, so he should be coming in just a second.
I would honestly like to hear from both players, but we'll deal with what we can get here, I suppose.
Elysian Paladin, you are not wrong. I do want to hit the hay. My memory foam pillow is waiting for me.
Where are the guys who want to talk about the race? They are not right here, right now. Dun dun dun. Do 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 do, etc.
Okay, so apparently they can't join in the channel because they're not.
There we go. I was like, what's happening right now?
Okay.
I figured it
Right.
out. That's what happened. G'day there, Willard Brimley. How you doing?
Brimley?
You know the guy with the diabetes.
It's Wilford Brimley. It's WillardJBradley. Major diff. No, I get you. I get you. How'd it go? How'd it go from as a viewer perspective? Because I felt awful that entire time.
I could personally imagine both of you guys feeling pretty awful about that one. That seed was pretty unfair in terms of some of the late item locations there. Both of you finished over 2 hours and 10 minutes, which obviously cannot be comfortable. You have to be peeking at IRC thinking you're going to see a dot done at any minute at like an hour 50 at the latest there. But
well, as VTorp has told me, not all seeds are sub 2, so...
No. Not all seeds are sub 2, absolutely. But by and large, that seems to be the trend where over 2 hours is not the most common thing there. And I want to tell you right now, just from watching and commentating on the race, it really went back and forth for the longest time. One of the big deciders in the race happened very late. Whenever you
my skip to T-Rock.
Not your skip to T-Rock.
I put it off for last.
By itself, that certainly could have been a contributor, but you went back and did the all the hammer pegs in the world thing, which led to the fire rod, which gave you a big advantage going forward.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! I was walking into that cave and I was like, "Please be fire rod! Please be fire rod!" And there it was.
I didn't find fire rod for a long time. I was missing both rods.
I found it after.
Yeah, both of the rods were the two items that were driving both of you guys crazy in the last 45 minutes or so of that race. We watched.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
we know.
God. I was walking into that
But
cave and I was like,
I've got a question for each of you here.
Yo.
First of all, for the
found it.
okay guy,
whoever's watching the stream still
you
can
took
mute it.
you took what I think was a reasonable chance at finding the items in the Swamp Palace towards the end, but you ultimately didn't end up finding any of the rods there. What were your thoughts about the race at the point where you decided to dive into Swamp and hopefully find one of those elemental rods right then and there?
My goodness. Whenever I was going into Swamp, I knew that I was either wasting a lot of time
but you
or I was
ultimately didn't
wasting a lot of time. I was looking for one item. There was a good chance it was in there. I did the math. It was a good place to check.
What were your thoughts about the race at the point where you decided to dive into Swamp and hopefully find
as soon as I got to the mountain the first time, I chuckled to myself,
right
watch Ice Rod's going to be in Mimic Cave. Just a fun thing to chuckle at yourself, but I didn't trust my gut at all, and I could have went there early, just made an extra visit if Ice Rod wasn't there. I should have went there earlier. Ugh.
I think Chad is still going off about audio issues. Can either
try to reset
someone mute the restreams or something? Let us know when it's fixed.
Yeah, I think that the problem is your two streams is coming through the restream in addition
chat
to.
is still going off about because I muted all my volume. Well, my game's over. And either someone mute the restream. Nothing should be going on through on my stream.
But either way, that was a really, really great race from the both of you. It was a fairly linear, like when it all comes down to it, it was a fairly linear seed. But was really interesting to see the different choices that the two of you were making, and how a lot of the time one of you was just right behind the other one, just making the same choices, same calculations, and it just goes to show the vast game knowledge that the both of you have, as well.
Yeah, honestly, everything was going fine until I was like, okay, I need the hammer, I need the fire rod, I need both rods. Everything. And then I did Palace of Darkness, like after doing parts of Skull. Thieves, I got lucky because Big Chest didn't have anything useful, which was just good counting by me.
Yeah.
Once I got the mirror, I was like, all right, cool. I have options. And then Death Mountain had like literally nothing, if I recall correctly. It had Red Cane, which was Canis Marius, so that helps.
Yes.
But doing Ice Palace 3 times, that's never going to happen again. I literally was like, this is going to kill my race. There's no way I can win this. And then, fortunately, I was at a crossroads. I was like, well, I could go finish Skull and get the Pendant of Courage for Sahasrara. I could finish the rest of Swamp, even though I already checked the first chest and all I had was 50 rupees. Or I could gamble it all and go straight to T-Rock and hope Ice Rod is in there. So when I opened up that last chest and it was Ice Rod, I'm like,
it was so tense. We were just waiting. There's 3 chests left, 2 chests left. That's the last one, and then the Ice Rod.
We were counting it down.
Because I mean, in my head, I'm like, okay, guys, already got the Ice Rod. He got it somewhere else, so everyone's just cringing at my stream. And then it off, and I was like,
the one thing I did want to see though is just someone to live the Sahasrara Green Pendant dream. And OkayGuy, I thought for a minute you were going to do that when you went into Skull Woods towards the end, checked that one last chest, and then went and read the Master Sword.
I thought about it. I think that's the only item I did not get in the game was the Sahasrara pendant item.
I thought you were going to go in there and check it. I was half hoping for it so we could see that dream hope, because at that point we still didn't know where Ice Rod was, so it could have been there because we hadn't seen Willard grab it yet.
Oh man, whenever I opened that chest, I could have left it down in the light. Or I see what you're saying. I could have messed myself up pretty bad, do all of that and then have to double back to T-Rock. Oh, that would be horrible.
Yeah, that was
Oh
it was like, if I go through all T-Rock and not find Ice Rod, then it's like entering forfeit territory. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
I should have visited T-Rock the first time I saw it. When I went and saw that I had the wavy coin for it and everything, or I think I found the wavy coin right after. Shortly after checking to see what it was, I think I found it, actually. One or the other. I should have just dipped my head in there and looked around. I would have had to look around until the very end, but
yeah.
I mean, a second trip there sucks, but
yeah, it was still really close.
I'm glad I put up a fight.
I don't think you guys truly understand how close that race was until the 11th hour. I would recommend both of you guys to go back and watch the VOD, because
I definitely will.
While you guys did take a lot of different routing decisions at a lot of different points during the race, a lot of your choices tended to balance out, and until the last 20 minutes or so, you guys were basically neck and neck the whole way through. It was really great to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was a lot of really cool things that both of you guys were doing and showing off, and not to say, Willard, you weren't doing awesome stuff.
Just go ahead and say it. I already know.
I counted. Let me know if I miscounted, but I counted 3 chest turns from OkayGuy.
I did as many as I could. I just, when I'm running up to him, you have to go for him.
What the heck is
there was a chest turns when you open a chest and then there's one frame where you can turn away from the chest. Willard, you did the
is that how
frame
you
perfect
style now? That's all. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
You did the frame perfect dash going into the double chests west of
Yeah,
Meyer.
I was actually surprised by that too. That's the first time I've ever done that. That was crazy.
And then let's see what I was keeping track of all of like the pixel percent. Oh, was it OkayGuy? Was it you who got Fence Dash?
No, I missed Fence Dash. I did get God Pixel in Thieves Town.
So that's you did get God Pixel. Willard then did Fence Dash. Leaving.
I went for it and moved too many. If you just hit A and left at the same time, you'll move to the right spot and then look up. But I did it a little bit slow, so I had to readjust.
Okay.
That God Pixel, I killed
we
2
saw
Patrick
some
stars with one
pretty
hit.
incredible attempts at hovering over
I failed a couple
few hits too, which was really sweet to watch.
He
Moldorm 2,
told me he was going to do it.
Moldorm 2, I ran up to the ledge, dude, and I charged up my hand to start shaking back and forth, and then I just ran off the edge.
Oh no!
Jumped off. I was like, oh cool, I'm not going for it again. I'm just going to kill this caterpillar.
Did you do hammer jump? I mean hammer yump?
Yeah, I did double bomb. It was a couple extra pause buffers, I think.
It didn't really work though, because Big Key was on the right side.
I did it twice. Yeah, I went through the maze backwards without the big key. Went downstairs.
And then you went down.
You
hammer jump from the top.
Yeah, and then I went and hammer jumped the second time and mirrored out because I had the mirror. I could mirror out.
It's too much swag, man. Can't do it.
It was so good. It was fast. I tried.
I was wondering. Yeah, it's typically like doing the hammer bomb jump in randomizers is so often not worth it.
I know.
As far as like the speed, and it's so unfortunate because it's such a great.
If I would have went topside first, it would have been worth it. But just hoping to find the big key in the dark maze.
Mm-hmm.
Never happens.
Did you? You got lamp early, right? So you didn't have to do anything dark.
I did. I went to the cat in a weird way. I kept saving and quitting and having to go from Sanctuary to town to get to Dark World.
Oh my gosh, me too.
You did? Okay, thank goodness. I should have beaten Aghanim. If I would have beaten Aghanim, I probably would have cut.
I know. I kind of was thinking like, I wonder if he beat Aga, because that would have made things so much easier.
You didn't. We screwed ourselves.
Oh my gosh! Next time,
especially after that death.
Next time,
death you had, Willard, on Overworld.
Oh my gosh, I was so mad about that. I said to myself, Willard, be careful, and then immediately got blown up by that guy.
Well, because
I thought I had speed. I thought I could beat him, but no.
Don't feel bad. I got bodied throughout my entire run. We did have good health, good gear starting out.
No, I had to death warp in pod like 3 times.
I did once.
I didn't have mirror.
I did once at the pegs where you're supposed to jump down. I didn't have hammer the first time I went.
Yeah, same.
I think we were forced there. Maybe weren't we forced to pod at some point in time?
Well, you need to go there for mirror, right?
Yeah, that opened up.
And then you got the mirror to go get hammer. So it's that logic. It's that randomizer logic working for you.
Yeah.
You guys
I just forgot about it for like ever.
A lot of uncomfortable situations in that seed. I think it was. For a random seed where it's like, you can go everywhere, you can look for anything, find whatever you want. Ultimately, you did really have to go to a lot of very specific locations to find everything. And we basically saw between the two of you guys, basically every single item location in the game outside of a few in Ganon's Towers. So, yeah, that was definitely one of the longer seeds that we've seen.
I mean, I think we had like a 240 earlier today.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know. I don't remember their seed being particularly it was pretty trolly, but.
It was trolly. It was adventure type seed. I always consider them adventures. They're like scavenger hunts. You have to have this to continue. You better go look for it.
One last thing though, before we wrap up here.
Go ahead.
Alucard 2004 reminded me in chat that there was a really cool when you were going from after you
Witch's
had
Hut.
put the Witch's Hut, that whirlpool, you were going to save and quit and go back to Link's house and then walk to the flute from there. But that warp is actually really cool, and I had to mention that it just shows really great game knowledge because that's not a warp that you ever see anybody take.
Right.
It's never taken in speedruns or anything. So it's just
you would
really
never
great
normally
game
take
knowledge.
that ever.
Nice.
This particular seed was the only time it worked, and I don't even think it was faster, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
if it was, it might have been a couple seconds, but it was cool. It was cool mostly because of the novelty and showing off that you know more about this game and are able to make those quick decisions on the fly that a lot of other people might not be able to do. So
Right.
it just shows that there's just like both of you guys doing stuff like that throughout the whole run made it a really entertaining watch. But I think it's probably about time that we wrapped this up. And
yeah. I can't wait to go back and rewatch and watch chat laugh at me because there's some really dumb moments. I'm excited. I do want to clarify one thing real quick before we end. Sorry. I know you guys are tired, and you guys have done, I'm sure you guys did an amazing job. I can't wait to go listen and watch. Ganon's Tower was weird for me because I did a different route than I normally do. I usually go right side, check the 2 chests, then do all of left side. And this time I was like, I'm going to do left side, check the top 4 chests, and then do right side. I ended up doing the 4 chests, going down and checking that 1, which ended up being a piece of heart, and then teleporting back, and it ended up working out. So I was like, that is a very strange gamble, but I'm glad it worked out.
Well, if you did it the normal way, you would have had your big key and small key from the first 2 chests that you opened on the right side there. So that's true. That's just I don't want to call that karma in action. That's just Murphy's Law is what that is, man.
Horrible run and then a great G Tower for me. I mean, it wasn't great. I think I died somewhere, but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They were both of you guys put on a really, really great race for all of us. So, from me, thank you to you guys. Look for, if you guys enjoyed watching these runners, make sure to follow them, follow their channels, follow the Speed Gaming channel, because there's going to be most of the Link to the Past tournament races will be right here on this channel. If there is any overflow, it will be on the twitch.tv/speedruns live channel. So between those 2 channels, that's where all of the races are going to be. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Again, my name is Wild Anaconda 69, and we'll see you guys next mission.
Yep. Peace.
And as
Thanks,
one
guys.
last final thing for me, on top of everything Wild Anaconda just said, I want to tell all you guys, you should probably give a fellow by the name of Feasel a follow on Twitch if you're not already, because he does a ton of behind-the-scenes works for all these different tournaments that you see on Speed Gaming. So, give Feasel a round of applause and have yourself a great night.
Good night, everyone.